Okay, so one computer has 64 kilobytes of cache and the other has 512 kilobytes of cache. Explain how the cache size can affect the performance of the CPU. So one computer, so we're talking about computers here. Actually, we won't underline that, but we're talking about computers, the whole system. We're not just talking about cache, we're talking about how the whole thing works together as a computer. So 64 kilobytes of cache, that's what the question's on about, versus 512 kilobytes cache. Explain how the cache size can affect the performance. Now you notice it doesn't say how it can make it better, or indeed it doesn't say how it can make it worse, it just says how it can affect the performance. So you could say how it makes it better, and or you could say how it makes it worse. We've only got 2 marks to pick up here, so it should be fairly straightforward. If there's more marks, there's loads we could say. So one computer has 64 kilobytes of cache, the other has 512 kilobytes of cache. Explain how the cache size can affect the performance. Well, let's pick up an easy mark and let's just explain what cache is. So cache is, let me just skim the marks in just so I don't say anything that's going to throw us out. Let's go with cache holds frequently used instructions or the next instructions that the CPU require. Now, even though we haven't answered the question, we pick up a mark for that. We just pick up a mark for explaining what cache is, because the question didn't explain what cache is. We know what cache is. This means, that does that. Explain how. If we put the word this means in there, we start to explain how. So cache holds frequently used instructions. This means a larger cache will hold more instructions. And then we need to keep talking because we still haven't explained how. This may, never say definitely, this may improve the performance of the computer because the CPU can pull the instructions it requires from cache faster than it can from RAM or the hard disk drive. Hard disk. Okay, nailed it. We could say how a large cache could make the computer less efficient. Doesn't say make it slower, it just says affects the performance. So a really, 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 really large cache, which could hold billions of instructions, is pointless, because when the CPU tries to pull the next instruction or the instruction that it needs, it has to find them out of all of these billions of instructions, and that's not efficient. That's going to be slow. So having a really, 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 really large cache is detrimental, and you'd pick up marks for saying that as well. But that's your main answer right there.